He didn't yell when he said it. He didn't insult me. He just looked at me across the table and said, "Your success is making the family look bad." That's what my brother said to me. Not in an argument. Not during a fight. Not after drinks. He said it over grilled salmon and iced tea, calmly, like he was offering career advice. We were at a small restaurant downtown, the kind with exposed brick and overpriced side dishes. I'd picked the place because I hadn't seen him in a while and I thought it would be nice. That was mistake number one. Whenever I choose something even slightly above average, it becomes commentary. We were halfway through the meal when he leaned back in his chair and said it. "Your success is making the family look bad." I blinked. "Excuse me?" He shrugged like it was obvious. "You don't see it?" "See what?" "You posting about your house, the promotions, the vacations. It makes the rest of us look like we're not doing anything." For a second, I genuinely thought he was joking. He wasn't smiling, he wasn't teasing, he was irritated, and not a surface-level irritation, the kind that's been fermenting. "I'm 32. I work in finance. I've been with the same company for 9 years. I started entry-level and worked my way up. No family connections, no handouts. I rented a tiny apartment for years, lived frugally, skipped vacations, took extra certifications at night. Last year I bought a house, not a mansion, just a clean, modern place in a good neighborhood. I posted one photo when I moved in. Caption, "Hard work pays off." Apparently that was a problem. "What exactly am I supposed to be doing differently?" I asked him. He sighed. "You don't have to shove it in everyone's face." I posted a picture of my house. "You know what that does?" "No. Enlighten me." "It reminds Mom and Dad that they're still renting." Ah, there it is. This wasn't about him. Not entirely. It was about comparison. Growing up, my brother was always the louder one. More charismatic, more athletic. Teachers liked him. Relatives praised him. I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the one people described as steady. Steady doesn't get applause. Steady doesn't get trophies. Steady builds in silence. And somewhere along the line, that silence turned into momentum. He took longer to find his footing. Changed jobs, switched degrees twice, moved back home once. I never judged him for that. At least I don't think I did. But apparently my existence feels like judgment. "I don't post that much," I said. "You post enough." "What does that even mean?" "It means you don't have to remind everyone you're ahead." Ahead, like this is a race. "I didn't know we were competing," I said. He gave me a tight smile. "That's the problem, you don't see it." I set my fork down. "See what exactly?" "You've always needed to prove something." That one surprised me. "Prove what?" "That you're better." I actually laughed. "You're kidding. You always had to be the one with the better grades. You skipped homework. You always had to be the one who saved money. I didn't spend it. You always had to be the one who moved out first. I was 24. You always had to be the one who bought a house." I stared at him. "Do you hear yourself?" He leaned forward. "You don't understand what it does to the rest of us." "What does it do?" "It makes us look like we failed." There it was, the real sentence. Not, "You're bragging," not, "Be humble." "You make us look like we failed." I took a slow breath. "I didn't do anything to you." "You didn't have to, you just are." That might have been the most honest thing he said. I just am. And that's enough to trigger something in him. "You could tone it down," he continued. "Tone what down?" "The success." I stared at him. "How exactly do I tone down a mortgage?" "You don't have to talk about it." "I don't." "You don't have to invite people over." "I invited you." "Exactly." "Ah." So that's what this was. Not a general complaint, a personal discomfort. He'd come to my house once. He'd walked through the kitchen quietly, looked at the backyard, said, "Must be nice." I'd thought it was harmless. It wasn't. "You're embarrassed to come over?" I asked. He hesitated. "Not embarrassed." "Then what?" "It just feels unnecessary." "To celebrate milestones? To show off?" "I don't show off." "You kind of do." There it was again. This narrative that success equals arrogance. "You know what the worst part is?" he added. "What?" "You act like you did it all yourself." I blinked. "I did." That landed badly. He leaned back again. "There it is." "What?" "That tone." "What tone?" "Like you're above the rest of us." This conversation felt surreal, like I'd walked into a script halfway through. I never said that, I said. You don't have to. He picked up his glass. You make the family look small. Small. That word hung heavier than the others. Not broke, not lazy, small. As if ambition is betrayal, as if growth is abandonment. I looked at him carefully. Is this really about the family? He didn't answer immediately, his jaw tightened. It's about balance. No, I said quietly. It's about insecurity. His eyes flashed. See? That right there. What? You think you're psychologically above everyone too? I almost smiled at that. Why are you angry at me for succeeding? I'm not angry. You are. I just think you could be more considerate. Considerate of what? Of how it makes us feel. There it was. The expectation, shrink, dim, so others feel comfortable. And that's when something in me shifted. Not anger, not defensiveness, clarity. He wasn't asking me to celebrate less. He was asking me to become smaller, and that's not something I'm willing to do anymore. I leaned back in my chair. You don't have to come over, I said calmly. That's not what I'm saying. It sounds like it is. He shook his head. You're impossible. No, I replied quietly. I'm successful. The table went silent, and for the first time in the conversation, he looked threatened. He paid for his half of the bill. That detail matters, because he made a point of it. He placed the exact amount on the table, not $1 more, not $1 less. I don't need your generosity, he said when I reached for the check. I wasn't implying you did. You kind of always do. That again. This narrative that everything I do is a flex. We walked out of the restaurant separately. No hug, no talk later, just distance. I thought maybe that would be the end of it. Just a weird lunch. A bad mood. It wasn't. That night, my mom called. I knew before I answered. You and your brother had a conversation today, she said. Not asked, stated. Yeah. He says you embarrassed him. At lunch? Yes. How? He said you were condescending. I leaned back against my couch. Did he tell you what he said to me? He told me you acted superior. That's not what I asked. There was a pause. He said he tried to explain how your posts and lifestyle can come across. Lifestyle. Interesting word choice. And? I asked. And you dismissed him. I told him I worked for what I have. Well, you don't have to say it like that. Like what? Like you did it alone. There it was, the same accusation. You think I didn't? I asked. That's not the point. Then what is? The point is family isn't a competition. I exhaled slowly. I'm not competing, but it can feel that way. To who? To your brother. Silence stretched between us. So the solution is, what? I asked carefully. Maybe be more mindful. Of what? Of how much you share. Ah, there it is. The subtle instruction, tone it down. I glanced around my living room, my house, the one that apparently made people uncomfortable. I posted one photo, I said. It was a big house. It's 1,900 square feet. For us, that's big. For us. The phrase stuck. Not for you, for us. You think I should pretend I'm struggling, I asked. Don't twist my words. I'm not. You know your brother has had a harder time. I know he's made different choices. That's judgmental. That's factual. He's still finding his path. So did I. But you make it look easy. I actually laughed at that. You saw the end result. You didn't see the 10 years before it. Well, people don't see that. That's not my responsibility. It kind of is. There it was. Responsibility. Not to succeed, to moderate success for group comfort. I shouldn't have to shrink so he feels taller, I said quietly. She didn't respond right away. You always were intense, she said finally. Intense. That's the label I got growing up. Not talented, not exceptional, intense. Because I stayed in my room studying, because I didn't go out every weekend, because I saved money instead of spending it. Intensity becomes threatening when it produces results. You could include him more, she continued. In what? In opportunities, connections. He's never asked. Maybe he feels awkward. So I'm supposed to guess? You're the one doing well. There it was again, the burden of adjustment always falling upward. I realized something in that moment. This wasn't just him. This was the family system. I'd shifted position, from background character to visible success, and visibility disrupts hierarchy. When I hung up, I didn't feel angry, I felt tired. 2 days later, my dad texted me. Short. You could be more humble. I stared at it. Humble. That word gets weaponized fast. I am humble, I replied. No need to rub it in. Rub what in? Existence? Home ownership? Stability? I didn't respond after that. Instead, I thought back to childhood. Every time I got a good grade, my brother would roll his eyes. Every time I saved birthday money, he'd call me boring. Every time I stayed home instead of going out, I was antisocial. And now? Now the same behaviors had simply matured into outcomes, and outcomes are harder to dismiss. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about one lunch. It wasn't about one house. It wasn't about Instagram. It was about proximity. My success existed too close to him, too visible, too undeniable. And instead of asking, "How did you do it?" he asked, "Why are you doing it to us?" That question changed everything for me. Because I realized something simple. If my progress feels like an attack to someone, proximity is optional. A week later, I hosted a small gathering at my house. Nothing fancy, just a few friends. I didn't invite him. For the first time, I didn't even hesitate. I didn't post about it either. I just enjoyed it. The quiet, the comfort, the absence of comparison. 2 days later, he texted. Saw you had people over. Yeah. Didn't think to invite me? I stared at the message. This was the moment, the pivot point. Because if I invited him again, I'd be inviting the resentment, the commentary, the subtle digs. I figured you'd be uncomfortable, I replied. What's that supposed to mean? You said my success makes the family look bad. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you said. There was a long pause, then, you're really going to hold that against me? I typed slowly. I'm going to respect what you told me. He didn't respond for an hour, then, you've changed. That one made me smile. No, I replied. I've grown. Silence again. And that's when I understood something deeper. He wasn't angry because I excluded him. He was angry because I stopped chasing his approval. I stopped trying to make my achievements digestible. I stopped over-explaining. And once you stop performing for someone, they lose leverage. 2 weeks later, it happened again. This time, it wasn't lunch, it was my promotion party. Not a huge event. Just drinks at my place, a few co-workers, a couple of friends, nothing extravagant. I didn't invite him, I didn't debate it either. If someone tells you your presence makes them feel inferior, you don't keep offering them a front-row seat. Around 9:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. Him. Congrats on the promotion. Guess I'll hear about it from Facebook like everyone else. I stared at the message. He didn't follow me on Facebook. Mom must have shown him. I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I knew before I looked at the camera. He was standing there, arms crossed, same posture from lunch. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me, music still faintly audible inside. What are you doing here? I asked calmly. You didn't invite me. I know. You seriously thought that was okay? Yes. His jaw tightened. So that's it? You just cut me out now? You said my success makes the family look bad. That was one comment. It was honest. He ran a hand through his hair. You're being dramatic. No, I said, I'm being consistent. You're punishing me. I'm protecting myself. That one hit. From what? He snapped. From this. I gestured lightly between us. The resentment, the digs, the competition I never signed up for. He let out a sharp laugh. You think you're better than me. There it is again. You don't deny it. I don't think I'm better. I think I made different choices. Which you love to highlight? I don't highlight them. They exist. He took a step closer. You know what it feels like? Watching you level up while the rest of us are stuck? That was the first time he said it plainly. Stuck. Not small, not embarrassed. Stuck. And suddenly I saw it clearly. This wasn't hatred, it was shame. And shame turns outward when it's not processed inward. I never asked you to stay where you are, I said quietly. You don't have to. So what do you want from me? He didn't answer right away. That silence was telling. Finally, he said, "You could help." "How?" "Introduce me to people. Get me into your company. Use your network." Ah, there it was, the unspoken expectation. "You've never asked," I said. "I shouldn't have to." "So instead, you attack me?" "I wasn't attacking you. You told me my success makes the family look bad. Because it does." He said it again. Not defensive, not emotional, just factual in his mind. "And that's the problem," I replied. He frowned. "What?" "You don't see my success as mine. You see it as a reflection on you. That's how family works." "No," I said. "That's how insecurity works." He went quiet. And then he said something I didn't expect. "You always were Dad's favorite." I blinked. "What?" "You were the responsible one, the safe bet, the one they brag about now. They never bragged about me. They do now." And there it was. This wasn't about houses, or posts, or parties. It was about shifting dynamics. When we were younger, he was the golden one, charismatic, outgoing, effortless. I was background noise. Now the roles had tilted. Not because I wanted them to, but because consistency compounds. "You think this is revenge?" I asked softly. "No," he said. "I think you like it." That hurt more than the other comments, because it implied I built my life to spite him. "I didn't work 10 years to make you uncomfortable," I said. "You did it for yourself." "Yes, that's the same thing." "No," I said firmly, "it's not." The music inside shifted to something louder. Laughter floated through the door. He glanced toward it. "You didn't even try to include me. You didn't even try to be happy for me." Silence. That one landed hard. "I congratulated you," he muttered. "You criticized me." I was honest. So am I. We stood there for a long moment. Two grown men, same childhood, different outcomes. "You're really not going to invite me in?" he asked finally. "No." His expression hardened. "So that's it? You're done with me?" I took a breath. "I'm done trying to make myself smaller so you feel bigger." He stared at me. That was the moment, the turning point. Because I wasn't angry, I wasn't yelling, I wasn't trying to win. I was calm, and calm boundaries are harder to attack. "You've changed," he said again. "Yes," I replied. "I stopped apologizing for succeeding." He shook his head. "This isn't how family works." "No," I said quietly. "This is how adulthood works." He didn't argue after that. He just looked at me, not furious, not explosive, just disappointed, like I'd broken an unspoken agreement, that I'd keep my growth within acceptable limits. "I hope you're happy," he said. "I am," I answered honestly. He turned and walked down the driveway. I stood there for a few seconds before going back inside. No dramatic music, no applause, just warmth, conversation, people who were genuinely proud of me, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilty for enjoying it. The shift wasn't explosive, it was quiet. After that night, I stopped initiating contact. No dramatic announcement, no family group message, no speech about boundaries. I just stopped. No more, "Hey, want to come by?" No more, "We should grab lunch." No more updates about work. No more photos sent privately before posting. Silence. At first, nothing changed. A week went by, then 2. Then my mom called. "You and your brother aren't speaking." It wasn't a question. "We're fine," I said. "You excluded him." I respected what he told me. That was one conversation. It was honest. "You're holding on to it." "No," I said calmly. "I'm acting on it." She sighed like I was being unreasonable. "You could be the bigger person." There it was, the expectation again, shrink. "So he doesn't feel small?" She didn't respond to that. "He feels left out," she said instead. "He said my success makes the family look bad." He didn't mean it like that. He repeated it twice. Another pause. "You know he's sensitive." "And I'm not?" Silence. That silence said everything. I realized something then. They weren't asking me to repair the relationship. They were asking me to restore comfort, to re-enter the role of accommodating sibling, to dampen visibility, to rebalance the hierarchy. I didn't. Months passed, family gatherings happened, I still showed up. I was polite, normal. But I didn't engage beyond surface level. No invitations extended, no vulnerability offered, no access. At Thanksgiving, he tried one more time. We were in the kitchen, away from everyone else. "You're really going to freeze me out forever?" "I'm not freezing you out. You stopped including me. You said my success makes you uncomfortable. That was a moment. It was revealing." He exhaled sharply. "So what, I'm punished forever?" "I'm not punishing you." "Then what are you doing?" "I'm protecting my peace." That word irritated him. "Peace from what?" "From resentment I didn't create." He looked frustrated. "You act like I attacked you." "You did. I told you how I felt, and I listened." "That's not listening." "It is. Listening doesn't mean complying." He went quiet, and then he said something softer. "You don't need me anymore." There it was, the real fear, not that I looked better, that I moved forward without him. "I never needed you to validate my work," I said. "That's not what I meant." "I know." He didn't push further after that. He stopped calling, stopped commenting, stopped reacting. Not in anger, in distance. And something interesting happened. The tension disappeared, not because we fixed it, because we stopped feeding it. I didn't block him, I didn't make declarations. I just stopped offering access to spaces where I was proud. No more house gatherings, no more milestone celebrations with him included, no more updates about promotions. And you know what? He stopped asking, which told me everything I needed to know. He didn't want closeness, he wanted comparison, and once comparison was removed, so was interest. I think about that lunch sometimes. Your success is making the family look bad. It sounds ridiculous out loud, but what he meant was, your growth highlights my stagnation. And that's painful. I don't hate him. I don't even resent him. I understand him. But understanding someone doesn't mean sacrificing yourself to soothe them. Success isn't betrayal. Ambition isn't arrogance. And growth isn't aggression. If someone feels diminished by your progress, the answer isn't to shrink. It's to step forward without apology. He said my success was making the family look bad. So I stopped inviting him to watch it. Not out of spite, not out of anger, out of clarity. Because I don't dim the lights in my own house so someone else can feel brighter. And I'm done apologizing for turning them on.